I am perpetually amazed at how pathetic the right-wing strategy has been against Biden. So this is just more of the usual here. This is Fox Business Network. They're going to attack Biden in another way that makes him look better.
Democratic presumptive nominee Joe Biden unveiling a third piece of his Build Back Better recovery plan that will cost $775 billion to fund education and caregiving. Here's what he said just moments ago.
If we truly want to reward work in this country, we have to ease the financial burden of care that families are carrying. We have to elevate the compensation of those providing the care, the benefits and dignity of caregiving workers and early childhood educators.
Here now is Mercedes Schlapp, Trump 2020 campaign senior advisor. So Mercedes, the thought behind that is he says that he is going to give money for universal preschool, for child care, and for in-home health care or elder care. So whether you are a parent or you have parents, pretty much everybody, he's going to give you money. How do you battle back against that message?
Well, because the reality is that the only way he's going to be able to pay for these big spending ideas is by raising taxes. And so we know, as you know, Melissa, you understand clearly what the detrimental effects that higher taxes means to an economy is the fact that it will take away from, the middle class, which we know one of the things that Joe Biden has said from the beginning is that his first step will be to roll back President Trump's tax cuts. So I know he's, right now when you've seen in the last 3 weeks between his clean energy initiative, between his economic plan and now his new announcement today, you're talking about $3.4 trillion in terms of expense. And then, of course, adding government and bureaucracy to this process, which we know is incredibly inefficient.
These guys are about to get smoked, dog. This is why they're losing. This is so embarrassing. They can't help themselves. They all revert back to shitty reform conservatism. Wait, that's not the... Oh, movement conservatism. That's the word I'm thinking of. Hold on. I fucked that up. I used the wrong label. It's pathetic. What you just saw was pathetic. This is why they're getting smoked in the polls, and they all revert back to stupid movement conservatism arguments that appeal to nobody. So we'll break this down. First of all, 2 quick side comments. Number 1, Build Back Better is probably the worst slogan I've ever heard. Build Back Better? Build Back Better. You couldn't do better than that? Oh my God, that's so sad. That's the first point. Second side point is the name Mercedes Schlapp sounds like a porn star and the noise that shit makes when it hits the toilet bowl. Mercedes Schlapp. Okay, I digress. I know that was mean. I don't give a fuck. This is why I like being an outsider. If you're an insider, you can never say something like I just said right there. Anyway, they're showing the Biden plan. The Biden plan is universal preschool, childcare, and in-home healthcare funding. They're looking at that plan and they're going, yeah, I'm against it. That's not... Okay. How do you walk into that trap? How do you do that? This is like if, Biden were to put front and center, I'm for a living wage. He says he's for it, by the way, but he never talks about it, and I feel like it's just kind of like window. I don't think he's actually going to do it if he's president, but I digress from that. If Biden were to run on, I'm for a living wage. If you work a full time, you should make enough money. If you work full time, you should make enough money to survive. And then Trump was just like, no, I'm against that. If you work a full-time job, you shouldn't make enough money to survive. Everybody be like, what? What do you mean? There are certain things that if you disagree with it, you immediately owned yourself. This is one of those things. Universal preschool, childcare, and in-home healthcare funding. You're really that's what you want to run the campaign on? Biden's being ridiculous. We're against universal preschool and childcare and in-home healthcare funding. And what argument did they use? Well, she goes, he's going to raise taxes. He says he's going to repeal Trump's tax cuts. 83% of Trump's tax cuts went to the top 1%. 83%. 83%. And by the way, Biden talks about they cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. Biden says, I'm going to raise it to 28%. But these guys, they go out there, they walk right into the trap. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. This guy wants to raise corporate taxes. What an idiot. The rest of the country's looking at you like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Of course that's a good idea. Duh. Corporations are making out like bandits. Did you see the COVID-19 bailouts? Did you see how they've basically looted the treasury and then turned around and fired people anyway? We're going to have this giant corporate consolidation. All these small businesses are either going to go out or get bought up by bigger businesses, and you're concerned about how those corporations are doing? This is the same thing. That 2017 GOP tax law, it was just a giant giveaway to the rich. And these guys are out there running Trump's campaign on defending that today, in the midst of all the chaos, the pandemic, the depression. And they're out there arguing in favor of the tax cuts for the rich and trying to own Joe Biden on wanting to do universal preschool, childcare, and in-home healthcare funding. It's, the right, they trip over their own dick 8 times a day. And this is such a good example of it now. Joe Biden is so uninspiring as a candidate. He's a standard neoliberal corporatist. But when you watch these right-wing attacks on him, I walk away going, oh shit, they're making Biden look good as fuck. I honestly didn't know that Biden was now putting front and center universal preschool, childcare, and in-home healthcare funding. But now I hear that and I'm like, yo, that's what's up. Like, this is actually a very good plan that I support. This is something all lefties should get on board with. But more importantly, guys, this is all normie Americans are going to get on board with this. Doesn't matter how many times you scream Antifa or Marxist or whatever. When people hear a candidate arguing for universal preschool, childcare, and in-home healthcare funding, especially in the midst of all this chaos, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go, oh my God, thank God, finally something for me. Finally something for me. All day long, the government's serving the wealthy and the powerful. All day long. And then now finally, they're going to give me some little crumbs here. There's a little bit of crumbs for us, thank God. But they're fighting the battle on this front. His entire campaign team is useless. None of them have any idea what they're doing. The last time around, his instincts were better to hit Hillary on being corrupt, to hit Hillary on outsourcing and war. She represents the status quo. The instinct this time to try to paint Biden as like far left and insane, and he's going to raise taxes on you. He's been a moderate Republican his entire life. He's not going to raise taxes on regular people. It's just not going to happen. And by the way, that's an issue where I happen to agree with Biden. I wouldn't raise taxes on regular people either. But like this instinct to frame him that way, it's the results are in front of our faces, man. We've seen it. We know. Trump keeps slipping in the polls. This is why. They have no arguments against Biden that are just on their face solid lines of attack. It's all like, let's pick the few areas that would make him look good and go all in on that. Well, congrats. This is why you went from like 5 down to 10 down to now 15 down.